So this is the color problem. Blue men, yellow limousines, white smoke.
Huh.
um,
Fantastic.
and then this next one, just because I love Robert Frost, but also because it feels to me like a lot of your work, Megan, is about witnessing things and what it means to witness and how you can do it and whether you can do it. And so this is Robert Frost's Acquainted with the Night.
Oh.
I have been one acquainted with the night. I have walked out in rain and back in rain. I have outwalked the furthest city light. I have looked down the saddest city lane. I have passed by the watchman on his beat and dropped my eyes, unwilling to explain. I have stood still and stopped the sound of feet, when far away an interrupted cry came over houses from another street. But not to call me back or say goodbye, and further still at an unearthly height, one luminary clock against the sky proclaimed the time was neither wrong nor right. I have been one acquainted with the night. Megan, over to you.
You. Thanks for having me. I'm kind of excited and a little bit nervous. And so I thought I would start with a little poem I've written called Bittere Gelächter, which is Yiddish for bitter laugh. My granny, sitting fat in her big chair, cigarette ash in a dangle from her long craven A, would half smile, a stroke smile, a history always repeats smile, a you tell me one thing but mean another smile, a I've heard it all before smile, a don't even try smile, a don't make me laugh smile, a don't think you can get away with it smile. And after she squinted at me through the cigarette smoke and the ash finally fell, close to the ashtray, but not in it exactly, she would laugh. What's so funny, I'd say, irritated, impatient, getting bored at how long this short visit was becoming. And the witch in her would know everything. It's a bittere Gelächter, she'd say. I'm laughing for when I'm gone and you want me back. And yeah, this is where I'm literally going to segue into what will be a theme, which is work that I've written about Gaza and the genocide. This is a prose poem, and it's called Dear Blue Child of Gaza. You were never meant to be that color. You were never meant to die before your first birthday. You were meant to be called by your name, but I will never know it. It cannot be spoken by your family because they are all dead. You are blue because you are dead. I'm writing this letter to you, blue child of Gaza, because even though you are one of tens of thousands of children blown up, bloody, smothered under rubble, sniped, maimed, destroyed, it is the picture of you that will be in my mind until the day I die. I see your tiny body, your perfect face, head, fat little hands. I will remember your body, bundled in warm blue clothes. I imagine the terror and helplessness of being your parents who could not save you or themselves. Your only crime? Being alive in a world that has turned their back on you. You have paid the ultimate price, and I'm so sorry I could not have done more to prevent your murder. Yesterday, I heard children walking down the road where I live in Cape Town, South Africa. They were laughing and eating ice lollies. They were alive and didn't even know, because why should they, that they were lucky just to be walking down the street and laughing. Blue child of Gaza, I thought of you and how you won't ever get to do that. There is nothing I can say to make this right. There is nothing I can do except continue to fight for your right to live, even though they have killed you, precious blue child of Gaza. I think of your smile. I think of you sitting in a high chair eating breakfast. I think of you falling asleep. I think of the countries that believe your murder was justified. I will never forget. I will never forgive. Just know this, blue child of Gaza. Your death, your murder, your blue body keeps my thoughts unwavering. Palestine will be free from the river to the sea. And just to shift the unpleasantness, I want to do a poem that isn't about the genocide, but may possibly be equally unpleasant. It's called Split Lip Sunset. Another split lip sunset, burst blister heat. Two dogs pant and lie on the cement floor. Mosquitoes hover, tiny blood-seeking drones, their buzz-hum bodies drawn to hot human ears. My brother is drunk and ranting. He has come to me to complain in his own mosquito drone of some new unfairness in his always unfair life that made him lash out at his wife and kids. It wasn't his fault, it never is. Another purple bruised sky deepens as he shouts, his rage landing in spit on his chin like beer foam soap scum will come. Another black eye night, 7 beers later, and I make up a bed on the couch, just pillows and a sheet. He will sleep until another pink chafe dawn, while I lie here awake. My brooding, cloudy brother has come to me again. Let me know if you need like little small breaks in between. Okay. This next poem is called This Poem is Blood on an Orange. And it was inspired by the pager deaths, the pager blasts. This poem is Blood on an Orange at a supermarket, where the tin cans of tomatoes are blasted off shelves and into body parts, along with the bits of a pager set to blow in synchronized time with 1,000 others. This poem is a child's ear blown off, a doctor's waiting room splattered with parts of bodies, the magazines from a decade ago shredded, the doctor, an unwilling suicide bomber, exploding when his pager was triggered. This poem is too small for the size of this evil, the moment man-made and murderous, beyond this poem's scope for pain and harm. I think I've interspersed the poems so as not to just go down a singular path. So this next poem is called Not Any Old Poem. This is not just any old poem. It is a poem written by creaky fingers in the wet, cold winter on a keyboard whose L key has a cat hair stuck under it that can't come out because my nails are too short and my tweezers too bulky. This is not just any old poem. This is a new poem. The subject matter is the same as my last poem, typed in warmer weather and in the company of the cat whose hair gets in between the keys. And I was more cheerful then when I wrote that poem. But not as cheerful as the poem before, which was any old poem, because I was in a good mood and you were laughing and I still thought everything was going to be okay. Those are the perfect but fleeting conditions, requirements for any old poem, not like today's poem. Today's poem is an unruly bitch of a poem, like me.
Long live angry bitch poems.
The end. It is already the end. We turned away, got numb, scrolled past, stopped listening. It is already the end because there is no day after, no home to go to, no hand to hold, no bed to be put to sleep in. It is the end of forgiveness, of kindness, of reconciliation, of education, of happy birthday, of just hanging out in pajamas, of deciding to give up smoking, of walking the dog. There is a picture of a man dead in the street next to his bicycle, shot in the back while looking for food where there isn't any, and nobody could get to his body because they would be shot in the back too. And this dead man is being eaten by starving cats. It is already the end. And this next poem I wrote when I still thought that Stephen King was an okay guy. Turns out he's not such an okay guy. But the poem is called Leaving the Door Open for Stephen King. I keep leaving the door open for Stephen King. He is the only one I trust to name the horror that creeps up at me every night from underneath my bed, behind my dreams, and lurking in the corners, turning my nightgown hanging from its hook into a full, whole, bloody body that I am somehow shamefully responsible for. I keep leaving the door open for Stephen King in case my monsters gain the upper hand and take over, either as a moving wall of slime, a paranoid old neighbor, or my late unforgiving mother. I keep leaving the door open for Stephen King, even though his macabre mind will only make things worse. Still, with him here, I would feel less alone when they come for me.
Oh,
Should I just keep going?
Yes.
Cool. I think this little poem, tiny little poem, is one of my favorites, and it's called Poem of Ash, Not Cloud. Tempted to write a poem filled fatly with fine phrases, a floatingness, a cloud poem, a soft white feather of a poem, a gentle tickle of refinement, I instead am forced to write of this image, a 1.5-year-old girl burnt beyond recognition, only ash left of her plump little body, air struck. There are no clouds in this poem. The sky is filled with plains and ponds. Okay. This next one is a prose poem, and it's untitled, quite deliberately untitled. Don't make me ask you why your story of getting here to this modern moment, this Instagrammable pose in front of this steampunk coffee bar where every single nut and bolt and copper pipe and non-turnable cog is for show, 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 and the coffee has fair trade stamped on the bags, made in China by children, and the mismatched porcelain was ordered in on Temu, and the music reminds me of the time I was pushed up against the bathroom door and the waitron won't serve us because we asked for milk alternatives. Yes, this moment where before you open your mouth to tell me, oh, you understand, you know what I mean. It's like that for you too, because not all men and etc. I am going to stop you from telling me that your journey is 100% like mine, because no matter how hard you don't try in your recycled rain jacket made for wearing when riding bicycles that cost more than a small second-hand car. See, friend, you have no idea how far I have come and from where. Bite me. This next poem is called No More Lols. I want to loll, when the ginger cat pretends the fallen green bean is a snake and scuttles across the kitchen floor to save me, save us, a dash, pause in a hurling competition, but dead baby without a head. I feel the smile forming when my friend sends me a good morning message with a bear meme and a hug heart to cheer me, to cheer us. But 4-day-old twins bombed to smithereens along with their mother. I see the shoot pushing out of the ground and shifting tiny lumps of earth with what will become leaves of flowers, red poppies. But 9 months of carrying a seed of a child to child being to death takes my living breath, life, joy, lulls away. Every day, I will never be able to ever again. Okay. Am I forgiven? Am I forgiven, do you think, for saying all the things you would have silenced in me? For being a girl child, for wanting to be on stage, for being short, for being Jewish, for being poor, for being guilty by association, for not writing what you asked for playing around, for playing the fool, for playing up, for showing up, for speaking out, for watching out, for naming my own shame that made you guilty by association. P.S. I think you should know that I have forgiven myself. It is much easier than you made out it would be, much easier. Now I just have the harder task of managing my immense rage and desire for vengeance. I'm just going to shake that one out. And now we're going to now I'm going to read a poem called Dream Father. I've been dreaming of you because I need you. In my dreams, you are before you were sick, with flushed cheeks, bold, bright opinions, and fatherly advice. You tell me you love me and I cry. When I wake up, I cry again for the loss of you. But I can only remember the purple bruised version of you, blood under thin skin as you slipped away. And speaking of death, it's a little poem for it's called For Jimmy the Poet Matthews. Outside the Market Theatre, you grabbed my hand and pushed your poems into my chest. Then you whisper shouted them in my ear and laughed. Already a blue-eyed boy, as I stood shock-still and breathless, and you, delighted, giggled in the power of your own words to visit me. Strawberries are the new. Everything tastes like blood and dust. The strawberries I left too long in the fridge because their color reminded me of torn limbs, their shape, tiny hearts, their seeds shrapnel in bodies, their presence a betrayal of the strawberry fields destroyed in Gaza, their existence a resistance, an invasion of complacency, a demand to be noticed, more subtle than the huge and loud cousins in color watermelons, whose job is more dangerous and bold, and whose image I wear. I keep on wanting to write about strawberries. I keep on wanting to taste them. I want their innocence back. Unfortunately, we're now in the thick of it and we stay in the theme. The bombs have killed my poems. The bombs have killed my poems. My words lie under rubble. Each O, a mouth of grey dust. Each L, a limb broken. All letters at angles. The massacre has taken my spirit. My ideas are blown out. Each comma, a blood wound. Each full stop, the end of a little life, a smile. If we all do. Not if all we do. Sorry. If all we do. If all we do is make them uncomfortable, we must do it. If all we do is share the video of the dead child, we must do it. If all we do is fight with our friend in the park when they say something stupid, we must do it. If all we do is say something every day, we must do it. If all we do is stop one tiny lie, we must do it. If all we do is one small thing, we must do it. And now I'm just going to read a slightly longer poem, a rhyming poem called Where the White Women Are. It's well after 9 in a safe neighborhood. The Pilates girls gather. They look tight and good. They finish their flat whites and rinse out their glasses and stretch the muscles of their super white asses. Then after their convoy in their gold 4x4s, at the waiting red lights they remote lock their doors and listen to Cape talk until it offends, then switch back to 5 with its crossover blends. They wave at the beggars with go-away hands or pretend not to see through their shaded Ray-Bans. And some of them gather to highlight their hair, but first a good massage in the lean-back chair, where invisible hands make the water just right and conditioner is spread to sighs of delight, and more coffee is brought and more coffee is sipped as invisible hands in ammonia are dipped. Then magically golden to match their gold cars, these creatures regather at chic sushi bars, where they order the hand rolls without any rice. It's bad for their colons, although it tastes nice. Then it's home time for children from the private school. In pre-ordered Ubers, they all play the fool, while their mothers meet up at another safe space to talk about charity, feminism, and race. And craft gins are drunk and a good tip is left. But the old man outside will be most bereft because cocktails were paid for with a gold credit card. It's, I'm sorry, no change for the usual car guard. With giggles and waves and kisses and shouts, see you tomorrow's slip from college and pouts, and the 4x4s purr out the parking lot places as the winter sun sets on their plastic white faces. I'm not sure if you'd like me to carry on by reading just a tiny excerpt from Lost Property.
Very much.
Is that cool with everyone?
And be good for time.
Cool. It's part 13, which I find quite funny. This is the part of the story in which I am jolted from who I was becoming into who I became. This is the part of the story that can only be described as a severing. The fight between Larry and Merle is about money. Merle needs Larry to make, find, get, ask for more money, and Larry has run out of options. I know this is the fight because it is not what they have secretly, and it goes on over weeks and months, cropping up at the supper table, oozing out during bath time, exploding during the night, and simmering in the mornings. Merle involves my grandmother in these fights, and she comes over to have meetings with Larry, in which she scolds him and outlines his inadequacies as a husband, father, and provider, as reported by her daughter. My grandmother sits opposite Larry on the couch and chases me away and out of the room where we have been hovering. Then we get chased out of the kitchen, the best place for listening, by Dora Modise, who won't give us her interpretation of what's happening either. Once my grandmother has seen to my father, she goes to Merle, who is prone on her bed, and now Anthony and I can hear everything from our rooms. Merle can't believe how terrible her life is and what a terrible mistake she made marrying Larry, who is useless and can't take care of his family properly, and how she deserves better and doesn't know how she will manage. Then, Dora, bring us tea and a clean ashtray. Larry simmers at his desk in his makeshift study, a corner of Merle's dressing room next to the bathroom door. The day after my grandmother's visit, the fight takes an unexpected turn. Merle and Larry now argue about the row of pine trees at the top of the front garden. The house is so dark, Larry. I can't stand it. And the pine needles. It's why we bought the house in the first place, Merle. Larry and Merle had negotiated with my paternal grandfather to lend them the money to put down a deposit to buy the house when we moved from Yeovil to the slightly more middle-class suburb of Observatory, but not as middle-class as Cyril Dean or the even more middle-class Linksfield. Bullshit, Larry. It was the only one we could afford. I hate this area. You love this house. You love the trees. I tried to love the trees. For God's sake, Larry, I can't grow anything here. It's too shady and the pine needles are too acidic. Merle, we can't cut down the pine trees. Larry, they are making me suicidal. It is a Friday afternoon. After school, my lift scheme drops me off in an unrecognizable war zone. The air screams and buzzes and crashes with sound. Men with chainsaws are in mid-air on ropes, hacking down the pine trees in sections. The garden is littered with branches, bark, twigs, pine needles. At least 100 birds' nests are smashed to bits. I try to step through the chaos of broken, crushed, and mangled trees to where Dore is standing immobile on the patio. Every step reveals more destruction. Pale blue eggshells seep yellow yolky insides. Baby birds' bodies lie in the ruins. Feathers clump around broken branch wounds. The stumps of pine cry a gluey brown sap that fills the air with its potent smell. I think that's a good place to stop.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. I always feel after these readings that I need time to absorb things before I ask questions. But I really, those were immensely angry poems, and it was refreshing to have those and to have such unflinching confrontations of so many different kinds of very uncomfortable and difficult things. So thank you for that.
Thank you,
I'm sure
Megan.
other
Thanks
people.
for the space.
No, such a pleasure for us. I'm sure other people will have questions, but just to start it off, I was thinking, because I chose the Robert Frost at the beginning, thinking about that idea of, a poem is a lump in the throat, and how it's interesting to me because you write so many different kinds of things. How do you decide whether the lump in the throat is going to be a poem or a script or a novel?
I don't really decide. It just it's almost like if you imagine, oh, that's the notebook that you pick up, and that's where that idea is going to live, and then so I don't really decide, but in a weird kind of way, all my writing, I think you can tell that it's mine, so it all feels the same, whether it's a play or a book, a novel, or a poem. That not it's not so much. I mean, I guess it's a style thing that I think that they all feel the same. So in a weird kind of way, I don't really see the difference. Some of my work will end up on stage being spoken,
No,
and then some of it will become a book.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, it's a constant voice throughout the different
Mm.
formats. And we were even talking about that because when you said, "Oh, could I read a bit of the novel?" I thought, well, yeah. I mean, what is the difference really between the poetry and the prose? So thank you for reading both of those.
Thank
Um,
you.
does anyone else want to ask something now before the break? Thoughts? Oh, let me see if I can just automatically Oh, there's Jacques. Let me just see if I can automatically unmute everyone because then that'll be simpler than just let people. But in the meantime, Jacques, give me a moment. Yes, now I think you can unmute if you want to. Any luck yet? We're not hearing you.
Meeting the.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I think I may not have been muted before, so sorry if that's the case.
No, you were.
Yeah, I loved your reading, and I wanted to ask, and I haven't quite found words for it yet, but I was struck by the directness with which you write about the terrible things that are happening. And of course, we tend to be taught that poetic language has to be ambiguous, and your poems are very effective and very direct. It's almost as if they want to. There's something unambiguous about them in a good way. Um, I I find it difficult to write about. I find it difficult to write about horror, about what's happening in the world. I wonder if you want to say something about how you manage it, how you manage to find words for things like this.
I think that in a weird kind of way, and in a weird kind of way, the words are almost the purge. So,
Oh,
so in a way, what's happening is that I have to do something.
yes,
And so the words are a form of purging, I think. And they're also, and at the same time, I think they're also a way of torture. I mean, you know, self-torture, self-harm, because that's the cycle, you know. I don't know if that really answers the question, but I think that it's almost like it's unavoidable. I
yeah,
can't help it, because if I want to write about anything else, I can't.
yes,
So then I just absolutely have to. And if you're going to be writing about the horror, and if you are going to be doing it, it's very difficult to be sort of layered and complex. You just have to go there.
yes, yes. Yeah, I get it. Thank you. That's exactly what they feel like, and they feel very necessary in that way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Old way.
Yeah, and I think we've got Ed as well, if you wanted to speak.
Thanks, Claire, and thanks, Megan. It was a really powerful reading. I wanted to pick up on the consistency of the voice, and I think it really works well, whether it's your brother or children with limbs blown off. It comes from the same place, like you said, and that it's quite remarkable actually, because even a poem like Where the White Women Are, that anesthetized existence, that bubble, it seems like the very antithesis to where you're coming from, and it's just, apart from the humor in that particular one, it's just great. So I don't really have a question. I just I think however these poems come into the world, if you are planning to do something with them, but there's such a strong yeah, glue in there, and I feel you're grappling with what is happening, and you know, how does one reckon with evil? And the one poem you actually say this poem is too small for evil. So yeah, I suppose the poems really hit home because of the truth telling. You know, that, as you said, Claire, unflinching, and that I think the importance of poetry, that I'm not able to do such things either, but the poems that make that. Sorry, I'll wrap it up. That gesture, they bring us closer to our humanity, where there's this bearing witness. So just thank you very much.
Thank you.
Um,
I've got a question. Yes, Megan, a lovely reading. I'm just wondering if one puts this into a collection, for example, do you think one would group all the somehow horror or horrific events, or would you would you put something else in between? I mean, would it go down as one whole horror collection? I don't want to use the word horror, but I mean shocking.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't thought about it further than I haven't thought about what they would look like. And so this was the first challenge. So I've literally got poems in folders all over my laptop from.
Uh-huh.
And this was the first challenge, was to kind of put them together and choose what I would read. And the choice was kind of deliberate, and I did try and stagger them a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Thank you for asking, because I can't even visualize that yet. But now I'll think about it. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I'm just thinking your last poem, which had a little bit of a bite in it, but it was different. It offset the others. So, and then you could go back and relive something tragic again. Because if it's a piling up, it just might be overwhelming. I don't know. I'm just thinking.
Yeah. I have no idea. Honestly, this is the first time they've all actually, it's the first time they've all been together. So I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Jacques, was your hand up from last time, or did you want to ask something else?
Yeah, it's from last time.
Okay, cool. Well, I also just wanted to say one thing about a specific poem, that poem, The End. You know, you're saying about not really using such figurative language most of the time, which is true. It's all pretty, head-on stuff. But that line of, it's the end of happy birthday. Oh man, it's just like, it's such a good one. And to have the occasional, more layered thing in between, I think is so effective. So yeah, it was really great to listen to those. It's about time when we have a break. If no one else wants to ask something now, I suggest we come back at, say, 20 past. All right. Chat to you soon. Thanks again, Megan. We'll speak more now.
Yes.